what's up. So I was just at the gym and a few things kind of flashed through my mind. And so this is kind of ironic because, the last video I talked about how I have social anxiety. And sometimes I have these moments where I get these like flashbacks of things that I did that were kind of embarrassing when I was on drugs in the hospital. For one thing, my first night in the hospital, I had this one nurse and she was super cute. And I made sure to let my mom know that, and I said it out loud. I don't know if she heard me, but it's funny because a lot of the times, like in the moment, I did not feel like I was super high. Like I didn't feel like I was out of control. I didn't feel like I was doing things out of character, but looking back, I was totally out of it. I never have the courage to ask any cute girls any sort of questions. I never have the courage to make any sort of conversation with any girls that I find attractive. So the fact that I was actually asking this nurse that I thought was incredibly attractive questions was completely out of character for me. For example, I found myself asking her how long she's been a nurse and if she liked nursing. And I asked her some other questions that I just don't even remember. And I also remember that she was the first person to introduce me to Ativan, because the first night in the hospital, so anesthesia has a kind of a weird effect on me sometimes. Sometimes it just makes me cry for no reason. And it was my first night in the ICU and everything was kind of going as normal, but I remember my arm hurt a lot and my thumb went numb, which I haven't felt it since. That was the first moment that I felt my thumb go numb. And it freaked me out enough to where like I felt myself wanting to cry. But I waited till she left the room. And as soon as she left the room, I was like, all right, cool, I'm safe. And I just kind of like let it go. I just let the tears flow. It wasn't like bawling, it was just kind of like dripping from my eyes. And then of course she forgot something, so she came back in the room and I instantly like turned my head and like tried to just pretend that I was like falling asleep, but it was a little too obvious that I wasn't asleep, and my face was wet and my eyes, they were, you know, watery, and she was just like instantly like, oh no, and she just had this like concerned voice and she was just like, what's going on? And I couldn't really express what was going on. It was kind of like all this ball of emotion build up into tears, and it's kind of something that I used to do like pre-T. Like I didn't really know how to express myself, so sometimes I would just cry, which like now I don't do because like testosterone, it's kind of more rare that I do cry. And so I'm just sitting there crying in front of this girl who I think is cute, and I'm just rather embarrassed, but I can't stop. And so it's kind of like in the case of where like you're in a room full of people and then you go to another room because you have to fart and then you just like let go, but then as soon as you fart, like they all go into that room with you. It's like, that's just how life works. Like you do something and then it just never worked. You can never, there's no secrets. Like it's always, you always get found out if you fart in the other room or if you start crying in the other room. It's always this message that someone should come in to check on you now. My biggest fear is crying in front of people. I just don't ever do it. Like my therapist has never seen me cry. There's only there's like a handful of people that have seen me crying. So I'm crying in front of her. So she decides to give me an Ativan to shut me the fuck up. So she introduced me to Ativan probably because she was tired of me asking her questions and being probably kind of creepy without even knowing it, to get me to stop crying like a baby. And yeah, and there was other times with nurses where I would like ask questions. My second cute nurse, which Liz, if you're out there, call me. Yeah, so this was the nurse that held my penis for me when I took my first steps to the chair, and she was like super cool and super nice, and like looking back I just felt, I don't know, I feel like I might have said or done some things that are kind of out of character for me too, but I find it kind of odd because like it's not every day that I find a cute girl who just wants to hold my penis while I sit in a chair and just like is so knows what it's just not a natural feeling to have a strange cute girl hold your penis while you take your steps into the chair, and also have like bathe you and see you completely naked. Yeah, it's kind of like the icebreaker, complete icebreaker, and these are some things that I found amusing, and they just pop into my brain randomly. And I guess this is kind of how it goes if I were to have a few too many drinks, but obviously I didn't feel drunk in the moment. You know how you can like kind of tell if you're buzzed or whatever? So yeah, there's liquid courage, and then there is painkiller courage, and I definitely had that. And I hate that I remember these things because I feel embarrassed because I am socially awkward, and these are instances that are like my worst fears come to life. And if I could just not remember them, that would be great. Like I was high enough to be stupid, but not high enough to just completely forget it. So this is just a random story time. So if you are approaching this surgery, be prepared to say and do things that you normally wouldn't do. And hopefully, maybe you'll forget them. I did not. They pop in my head randomly. It's kind of some weird like surgery / social anxiety PTSD thing, I think, because I'm literally just was working out and I was just like doing chest day, just working out, and then this randomly popped into my head and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassing. So yeah, don't be creepy. I also wanted to do a little pee update after this long drawn out story about nothing. And so I am still doing okay emptying my bladder, peeing, but I am starting to have issues peeing in the morning again, and that's kind of concerning, and I'm not sure if it's just my bladder or if it is something developing, like if scar tissue is starting developing. I notice a little bit more pressure or resistance lately. I can still empty my bladder though, so that's okay. The thing that I'm noticing in the morning is that I can't necessarily empty my bladder, and my stream, it's like there's no water pressure. So I can't tell if it's just like I can't activate those muscles early first thing in the morning, or if it's a bigger problem. Anyways, but I did email Dr. Chen, and I see him this coming Thursday, so he said we'll talk about it more then. I do get the feeling that it is just my bladder. Since the rest of the day I'm fine, but I'll probably know more after that. And I'm stoked for my next appointment to get things set up with him at his new office and discuss my next options. And yeah, so that is that. I also go back to work November 5th, so of course I'm anxious about that because I legit haven't worked for over 4 months now, and that is crazy. It's been kind of nice to get a break from making like a million quarts of soup, but at the same time, it's a little weird being poorer than I was, and it's a little weird kind of not really having set structure to my day. So it'll probably be good for me to go back and all those fun things. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Thank you for listening to this weird story, and peace out. I'll see you next time.